All right, so this is going to be a review of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul, from 2017. It's the fourth, I think, live action Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the last live action one, which makes sense. It's directed by David Bowers. This movie I've been hearing for years is really bad. Those other movies, they're not great, but they're all right. They're okay. I prefer the books. I read those books when I was a kid. But this one had obviously the recasting controversy around it, and then also it just turned out to be a really terrible road trip movie, like just really bad. So it starts off with them being at this kind of chaotic restaurant, family restaurant, where kids are just throwing things around and stuff like. There's a buffet, there's a playground, things like that. Um, we have Greg, our main character, played by Jason Drucker in this. We'll definitely talk about this actor and his performance. He's child acting, but wow, this kid is really bad. But either way, it starts off with Manny, the youngest kid, getting stuck in the playground thing that's in the restaurant. So Greg goes to get him, and then he thinks he's in the ball pit, and so he starts pulling kids out of the ball pit, and he ends up pulling out a diaper, and the diaper's stuck to his hand. He's shaking it and everything. Grown ass people start walking up to him, taking video of it, and he gets known as like Diaper Kid or Diaper Boy or something like that, and it goes viral. So the main thing for this, because they're going on a road trip to go see their Meemaw, who's turning 90, a cross-country road trip. The main thing for Greg in this, or the main storyline for him, is that there's this really popular YouTuber. They say he's a YouTuber. He seems more like a streamer, but he streams video games. And the idea is that Greg's going to be in a video with him, and then that'll take people's mind off of the whole diaper kid situation. So he emails the guy. The dude seems completely inauthentic too. Like they're trying to make him seem more like one of those streamers or YouTubers that would be for kids, but it feels out of touch. It feels weird. Like with the catchphrase and all that, it's kind of cringe.
Boom! You got shroomed! That's how Digby do it!
That's how Digby do it. Classic.
He emails the guy and then pretty much immediately gets an email back about like, yeah, you can be in my video. I'm going to be at the this gaming expo thing. And the road trip, conveniently, the road trip that they're going on to see their Meemaw isn't going to be far away from the expo. So the idea is that when they get there, Greg is going to sneak away and go to the expo, be in this video to get people's mind off the diaper thing. And, so, and then come back before anybody notices he was gone. So yeah, this is pretty much a road trip movie where just hijinks happen. It's got tropes just like any road trip movie. It's completely unoriginal, especially when it comes to one movie in particular. But yeah, the car breaks down. They're in a shitty hotel room. They're things like that. Greg really has to use the bathroom, but they can't get to a gas station in time, so he has to piss in bottles. Things like that. It's hijinks, but along with all that, the mom, this Susan, played by Alicia Silverstone in this, she has this whole thing where she's taking away technology. She just wants to bond with the family on the road trip, including the dad, Frank, played by Tom Everett Scott in this. He also can't touch his phone, but he's secretly doing work because he didn't tell his his work that he was going on vacation. Like, okay, I guess maybe he works from home, because how would they not know that he's not showing up for work? So I guess maybe that's the case. So that's that added thing where like Greg sneaks and takes his phone out of the bag that she put their phones in. And so he's looking to see, oh shit, but how many people are still watching the diaper video? And, the kids are bored and things like that. They go to the fair, some things happen. They get chased by this bearded guy that just keeps popping up wherever they end up at. It's really just chaotic things happening. It's a road trip movie. It doesn't go as planned and things go wrong, but it's like, oh, we still got to get to the destination. So positives. All the acting just about is bad, but I'll give a little bit to Alicia Silverstone as Susan. I think she's the best in this movie. Not great, but I think she's decent with the material that she has to do. There's a moment between her and Greg at the expo when she walks in on everything going on and grounds him for life and all that. And I was like, okay, I kind of feel the emotion here between Greg and the mom and things like that. I was like, all right. So she comes out of this somewhat okay. Everybody else, like including the child acting, you give a little bit to the child acting, but the direction, the acting is just not working. We'll get to that in a second. And with the movie just is full of bad comedy, every now and then there's a joke that'll catch you off guard and you'll get a little bit of a chuckle. Like when they were on the road and they don't have their phones, they're miserable and bored, so they put up a sign at the window saying that their parents are kidnapping them or that they've been kidnapped. And it cuts to a police officer giving them like a stern talking to or whatever afterward. It's like, okay, yeah, like these kids are bad, especially Roderick. So it's like, yeah, that fits in line with something they would do on this road trip with no technology. So, there's chuckles here and there. That's all the positives I could really come up with. And that's me really just trying to be like, all right, I got to come up with some positives because I like to have my reviews be at least a little bit well-rounded, even with with me mainly bashing something. Because, man, this movie is awful. We can start off with the bad acting that I kind of mentioned earlier. So, Greg Heffley's been recast as Jason Drucker. He's not as good as the original live-action Greg. None of these people, other than Alicia Silverstone, kind of getting up there as the original mom actress. But yeah, no, this kid is really bad. Direction, bad writing, child acting. It's a mixture of all that, but the kid is horrible. He does this thing where he's really, really overacting and overemphasizing every single line. It is crazy. It is crazy watching this kid just just be like at a 10 all the time. Like he's on some kind of sugar rush or something. It is crazy. The kid, this is every line. Even just casually talking about it. What are you talking about? What's going on? It just all the time. It is so bad.
Oh, you guys think that's funny? Well, you won't be laughing when I report you to the manager and he throws you and your whole Beardo family out.
That's him the entire movie, no matter what's going on. If it's the craziness with the whole thing with them getting the pig at the fair, because Manny guessed the weight because he just said 4, 5, 6, and the people pressured them into keeping the pig, and he's running around with the pig trying to figure out what's going on, or he's running away from that bearded guy, which I'll get into that in a second. It just, he's always at a 10, just just all the time. It's really, really bad. It really is. There's also Roderick. This was the main controversy around the recasting, which we have this guy, Charlie Wright, playing Roderick Heffley. Doesn't look anything like the other live-action Roderick. Not nearly as good in the role either. And he doesn't even look like he belongs in the family. And he looks too old, right? Like, he's... they're really leaning into him being dumb, right? Like, he's 16. He's supposed to be 16. They say that at the end of the movie, but he doesn't know what cursive writing is. And he accidentally puts the microwave pizza in a safe that's in the hotel for no reason. He doesn't know the difference between a safe and a microwave. They're really leaning into him being dumb, but he is really bad as well in this movie. Him and Greg are probably the worst of the cast, especially if they're talking at the same time. It's specifically that scene pretty early on in the car, where they're complaining about getting their phones taken away. That was the moment where I was like, wow, I am in for some shit for the rest of this movie. This is horrible.
Who do you think you are bossing us around?
You want me to read? I'm reading text. What's the difference?
You're the worst mom ever!
So the acting pretty much across the board, extras, everything, it all feels really awkward. Conversations between people feel awkward and off, like some weird alternate universe. And to add on to that, this movie is completely devoid of any logic whatsoever, where, I'll give some examples. There's plenty of examples. I'll try not to make this go on for too long, but there's the whole situation with them having to go get food from the store. If the kid if Manny, the youngest, gets woken up, he'll just cause chaos and go crazy. So I guess they circle around the parking lot because they don't even stop to let Greg and Roderick out, but they let them go to the store to get snacks and things for them or food. There's a list that the mom gives. And of course, Roderick is just going to take the money and just buy whatever he wants. They don't look at the bag or ask for what's in the bag or ask for change or anything like that. So the mom doesn't know what's in the bag until they get to the hotel. So they get to the hotel, and and he dumps it out, and she's like, "Oh, what?" You have the whole thing where he goes to put the microwavable pizza in a safe that's in the hotel, like I just said earlier. And then she's like, "Well, why didn't you get what I put on the list?" He's like, "I couldn't read that loopy stuff that you put on that paper." And she's like, "Cursive?" And he's like, he's like, "What?" So a 16-year-old high schooler doesn't know what cursive writing is. That's that's part of it. But the big thing for me was like, why did you why did you write your grocery list for your kid in cursive? Why would you do that? Why are you writing a grocery list in cursive at all? And it's just to set up this moment, so we have Roderick not knowing what it is and all this other stuff. It's just the movie is devoid of logic, and for one of two things. It's either to keep the plot going, like with the diaper thing, where grown ass people are just taken aback, or just think it's so hilarious that a kid has a diaper stuck to his hand, right? Grown ass people, to where he watched a reaction video of an old couple watching it and just laughing. One puts the loser on their head, an old lady. It's ridiculous. We need that to happen, because without that, we wouldn't have the whole storyline of Greg needing to go to the expo in the first place. It's either to set up a plot point to keep the plot going, or it's for comedy. Another instance of it being devoid of logic for comedy is they're riding a car, and the dad has to because now the mom knows that the dad's been sneaking in and doing work. He gets on the phone, and she lets him get on the phone to talk to his boss or whatever's going on. And Roderick is chewing gum, and so the mom opens up the sunroof, the window at the top of the car, so he could throw it out. And he goes to throw it out of there, and it gets stuck on the top window, and that causes more things to happen. It's all chaos in the car. They drive off the road and things like that. And he might end up getting fired because the person on the phone could hear him saying that, "Oh, you guys just wanted to go on a road trip," and because his boss wasn't supposed to know he's on a road trip. And as this chaos is going on, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't he just throw the gum out of the window that's right next to him? It's like, why do you have to try to throw it out of the top window? Why? It's just to set up the chaos going on in the car. You might think to yourself, if you just saw that scene, oh, maybe the car window got messed up in an earlier scene or that. No, right? There was a scene that I'm pretty sure was before that, where the pig was that they got from the fair was farting, and so they had to be like put their head out the window. That's more bad acting from like Roderick, where he has to be like super expressive in his face while he's breathing out the window from the farts. Like, the window works, and they needed to set up that comedy. They go to that fair, and they go to eat butter on a stick. Like, it's a stick of butter that they just put in oil and fry. Which I don't even think that's possible. Wouldn't it just melt? Would it solidify like that to where you could just eat it on a stick? I don't know, but either way, they show the butter stick after he fries it, and it just looks like a corn dog. And Roderick eats like 9 of them or something like that, some ridiculous number, just so that when they go on this ride, because of course you eat all that and then go on a ride that spins you around. So you would have really bad CGI vomit, and the guy with the beard that's chasing Greg, who was able to just get on the ride when it's already started, because I guess nobody's watching the ride, can get the throw up in his face and then be going crazy about it while they walk away like nothing happened. Like, Roger's like, "Hey, I can get another one," or whatever he said. It's like an alternate universe. It's like nothing makes sense. The whole thing with the bearded guy, the reason why he's chasing Greg is because the bearded guy is at the hotel with them, and his kids are outside pushing a cart or whatever while he's in the hotel room. They're completely unsupervised, making a bunch of noise. Greg, I guess, is the only one who's like, "Hey, can you guys stop that? We're trying to sleep in here." And so one of the kids tries to push the cart into Greg, and it ends up hitting their van, the other family's van, and scratching the van. And the dad, who seems like he would have seen that happen by the time he came out, he thinks it's Greg who did it because the girl blames it on him. And so he's chasing after Greg, Every time they just pop up in the same place, he's chasing after Greg for the rest of the movie. But even in that scene, Greg runs off and hides for a little bit, comes back so he could go into his hotel room. And he goes into the wrong hotel room and gets in bed. You know, conveniently, I guess people just don't lock their hotel rooms. And conveniently, everybody in that hotel room, he went to the wrong room, happened to be covered up completely. So he gets in bed and then wakes up and he's in bed with the bearded guy. It's like, please, somebody call the cops. It's such a weird thing. It's like, how did you walk into the wrong hotel room? Didn't you see the hotel room that the guy, even if you forgot where your hotel room is, didn't you see the hotel room that the guy came out of when he saw the cart hit his van? So wouldn't you know that was his hotel? That would be the main hotel room you would avoid. It's just constant. Like with what I said about the sunroof, right? With it getting stuck. Not only is that setting up the chaos that happens in that scene, but it's also setting up when Greg is eating his Cheeto Puffs, a bunch of birds just fly into the car and start, messing things up and going crazy. It's just, the car gets completely messed up, and it's really just a way to pad out the movie. The movie feels so long once they get past the expo. And speaking of the expo, not only does this movie feel like other movies, it blatantly takes from a specific movie, a Goofy movie. But a Goofy movie is a good movie, right? So in that movie, you have the plot point of him wanting to go see the Powerline, go to the Powerline concert, but they're going on a fishing trip instead. And he, changes the directions or whatever, so that it would lead to the concert instead of where they're trying to go. In that movie, a good movie, they thought about making that make sense, right? Okay, they're using an old school map, not GPS, and Goofy's trying to bond with Max. They're already starting to kind of bond on that trip. And he's like, I'm going to put my faith in you, Max, to show us, where to go. And so it causes internal conflict with Max because he feels bad for betraying his father's trust. And obviously it's setting up, things coming to a head when Goofy finds out about it. In this movie, they have the whole thing where he might get fired or whatever. The whole thing with the gum in the window and all that, where they get run off the road. The mom and dad are getting into it outside of the car. And Greg is like, oh, it turns out the expo, the gaming expo, is further away from our destination than we thought it would be. So he changes the GPS so that they would go to this hotel that's closer that they would be able to go to, which, they get there and the parents, not only on the way did they not realize that they're going to a different place, but they get to the hotel and she's like, I'm sure we were supposed to be closer. It's like, how did you not realize with GPS, the destination, you could have seen the destination was changed. To make it even worse, they get to that hotel room and they're going to sneak away to go to the expo because now Roderick wants to go because he wants to potentially win $1,000 to fix his van or something. And Roderick's like, we could just take an Uber to get to the expo. And so they take the Uber. He's like, but we don't have any money. And he's like, oh, well, Ubers are free. So they take the Uber and they walk out and the lady doesn't say anything to them. They just walk to the expo. And he's like, see, no money changed hands. And that's never explained. It's like, how did they just take a free Uber? What's going on? Don't you even, I haven't taken an Uber in a long time, but don't you have to pay beforehand for an Uber? Like, there's no explanation of they just, they thought that, he's so stupid, he doesn't know how Uber works, and really they just hitchhiked or something. But no, there's no explanation as to why they were able to just take a free Uber to the expo. And then they get to the expo and it's just like, Roderick loses. Greg tries to get a video with the big YouTuber guy, but it turns out it was like a meetup type thing where there's people all around him, and the email was just so that he could maybe get in the video with the guy. And Manny just happens to turn to the channel that it's on. And so the parents go there and they have this big moment and stuff like that. And Greg actually turns out to be famous because of the whole diaper thing. I was like, yeah, you could probably spin that. Like, yeah, it's embarrassing, but in the age of viral videos and stuff like that, you could probably turn that into somewhat of an internet presence, social media presence. But whatever, after the expo, where it feels like the movie's kind of over, they should just have like a heart-to-heart moment and then just get to the Mima's place or their 90-year-old. It's their 90th birthday. She doesn't look 90 by the time you see her. They should just get to the thing. But no, there's more stuff going on. So they took a boat with them to carry all the extra stuff that I don't even think they used on the trip. And so it starts falling out, and the bearded family again comes by, and they end up stealing their suitcase that had the scrapbook that they were going to give to their Meemaw. So now they have to find their hotel room, once again, unlocked hotel room, go through the hotel room, realize that, oh no, it's actually in their van, and then get it out of their van. It's just like, the car breaks down and they can't use it like multiple times to where they have to figure out a way to still be able to get there. That happens, and it's like, it's so bad. It's like, why is this taking so long? It's just like, by that time, it's like, man, hurry up. By the end, it's like, oh no, the car won't move, but we're on a hill that's right in front of, or leads right to the Meemaw's place. So we're just gonna have to push the car down the hill, and Greg ends up in the boat, and the boat ends up on her pool, and or in her pool. It's just like, God, it's so much, right? It's so much, but it's so much of nothing. Like, the jokes are so bad. Like the joke with Roderick being really dumb. Like, I don't remember Roderick being that dumb in the other movies. I mean, he's so dumb. Like, doesn't understand just like basic stuff. They're playing a game called I Confess that nobody would ever play with their parents, especially not a kid like him. And they start making up stuff on the cards to specifically point out things that he had done, but had never gotten caught for. And he's just being like, yeah, no, I did do that. Look, that's another point for me. I'm winning. It's like, it's so stupid.
I once drove my mom's car when I didn't have a license and scratched the door very badly.
I did that too. Boom. One more point.
Anyway, yeah, I'm giving this complete shit. It doesn't work pretty much at all. And yeah, I was just shocked. I was like, man, this movie, wow. Just wow. But anyway, complete shit, like I said. That is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. Subscribe and we're done.